Shalom, Shalom, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders for pushing this word in truth and sincerity. And Shalom to the sisters and brothers that may be tuning in here. So this is just a quick video on faith and resilience. I just have I'm going to start off here on 2 Corinthians 1 and 8, and then I'm going to bring out some precepts relating to this scripture here. Because a lot of people think, you'll hear a lot of people, mostly in the world, people in the truth here, we know that you have to go through hardships to grow, and you can't just only be thankful for when things feel like they're in alignment, or when they feel like everything's good. You have to be thankful for the hardships as well, because, hey man, they build faith. Sometimes Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai will put you through hardships to build your faith, especially if he knows you're being carnal a lot, right? If you see that you're lacking faith, he'll put you through some things to build up your faith here. So 2 Corinthians 1 and 8, I'm going to read in the NLT here. We think you ought to know, dear brothers and sisters, about the trouble we went through in the province of Asia. We were crushed and overwhelmed beyond our ability to endure, and we thought that we would never live through it. So beyond their ability to endure, because a lot of people bring up that scripture that says God would never give you anything. I'm roughly paraphrasing here, but God would never give you anything that you can't handle, right? But it says right here, they were overwhelmed beyond their ability to endure. That's how they felt at the time. They didn't think that they would live. They thought they were going to die. They didn't think they were going to get past that moment, right? And a lot of times that happens in life, and that's when people lose faith, right? Because they get to a point, they hit rock bottom, even if it's, just rock bottom for a short period of time. But they hit rock bottom, they have something going on in their life, and they lose faith because of that. But that's there to build your faith. Verse 9 here, in fact, we expected to die, but as a result, we stopped relying on ourselves and learned to rely on Yahweh, who raised the dead. So that was the point of them going through these hardships, right? So that they could learn to stop relying on their own will, right? On their own, things that lead to nothing, right? To rely on Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Because that's when they were able to get through it. Because a lot of times people be going through stuff, they're like, well, I just need to do this, and I need to grind, I need to just, it's you need to pray, man. You do need to put in the work as well, but you need to also make sure you're not lacking in your faith. Have that balance there so that you can really reap the rewards that you're looking to reap. And I have a few precepts here. I'm going to dive into Proverbs 3 and 5 here. And it says, trust in Yahweh with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. Right? And in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Right? Simple. Very simple. Lean not unto thy own understanding, because a lot of people will try to lean onto their own understanding. We've had people come up to camp and say, I have some ideas for God himself, and that's just arrogance, right? And we'll, unbeknownst to ourselves, or unintentionally, might do that in our day-to-day lives. Try to lean onto your own understanding. That you should be doing something, but you're like, I think I have an idea. I'm gonna do this instead. And then you wonder why you get put into harder straits, right? Into a harder situation. It's because you lean onto your own understanding, right? You're supposed to acknowledge him, and like it says right here, acknowledge him in all your in all thy ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths, right? If you're holding up your faith, he's going to direct your path. He's going to help you get through that hardship. Next verse I have here is Psalms 34 and 17. The righteous cry, and Yahweh heareth, and delivereth them out of all their troubles. Our power is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. You see, in NLT it says, our power is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed, and they're crushed because the society crushes your spirit, man. Every day, you're sitting just by wearing these clothes. You're forced to work these insane hours for crappy pay. There's not a future in this society. That's why we're crushed. As you learn more and more and more about what built the society, what's going on here, your spirit gets crushed. But through our faith and the scriptures, this is what uplifts our spirit, right? Verse 19, many are the affliction of the righteous, but Yahweh delivereth them out of them all. So, hey, man, through this faith and depending on Yahweh, you're going to be delivered through it, right? And then he will guide you into the right actions to take. I just want to dive into contrite here. The word contrite, such as contrite, doesn't break it down on its own. Crush, literally powder, or figuratively contrite destruction. See if you can get anything deeper here. Broken in spirit, cast down. Yeah, that's pretty much what we expected. Subs, which is very small poet for dust. Yeah, broken in spirit. Well, that's kind of how you feel in this society, right? Wake up day to day, you have to work for Esau. You gotta you gotta get along with these Moabites at work. All this foolishness, and man, all this carnal shit. Gotta sit in it, right? So your spirit feels broken. You're uplifted when you're around brothers, or when you're praying, or when you're diving into the scriptures. That's really when you're uplifted, looking forward to this place to be, torn down. Next scripture I have is Isaiah 41:10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy power. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. And I believe that right hand is Yahawashi, right? Because he's on the right hand side of God, right? But he's gonna uphold us with that righteousness, with that faith. He's gonna make sure we don't lose our place here. We don't lose our footing and fall, right? He's our guide. So we maintain that faith through what we practice here, right? I'm gonna dive back into Psalms, but verse chapter 55 and 22 here. It says, cast thy burden upon Yahweh, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. NLT says, give your burdens unto Yahweh, and he will take care of you. He will not permit the godly to slip and fall, right? So he might put you through a very, 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 very hard strait, right? But he's not going to cause you to truly fall, right? Right? And during the time of Jacob's trouble, you might die for Yahweh Shemashai's sake, but your spirit's going to go up and you're going to receive your gifts, right? You're going to come back in a new form, but yeah, he's going to put you through some straits, but you have to, just depend on Yahweh Shemashai to direct you, right? Verse 23, just going to read this here, see if there's anything. But thou, O power, shall bring them down into the pit of destruction. Bloody and deceitful men shall not live out half their days, but I will trust in thee. Yeah, man, so if someone does you wrong, if these Edomites do you wrong, man, or just anyone in general, even 2/3, they're going to get their just desserts. Because even Paul was burdened beyond measure as well, right? But Yahweh sustained and rescued him. A lot of these, you'll find that a lot of the prophets they feel like they're burdened beyond measure. A lot of times, man, even Yahawashi asked if he had to go through with it, and he didn't receive answer, which is answer itself. But yeah, man, they're put through some crazy straits where it feels like a crazy burden. They don't know if they're going to live through it. Last verse I have here is 1 Peter 5:7. Casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Right? So you have to make sure you stay vigilant, you stay sober, you keep your mind strong, because there's always demons out here lurking, ready to test you. And hey, man, Yahweh sent them to test you. So you better be ready. Give strict attention to, be cautious, be active, take heed, lest through remission and indolence some destructive calamity suddenly overtake one. So watch, wake, be vigilant. Yeah, man, you have to make sure you're keeping six. You're watching. You're being very vigilant. You're taking heed of what's going on around you, man. You're being sober. You're making sure you're studying. Make sure you're learning so that you stay strong in the spirit, so that when you dive into any hardships, then you can handle that. I know our elders at camp always say you need to make sure that these things are engraved in your mind, so that when you're in that situation, your mind doesn't go blank. You need to know what to do when you're in these situations and what kind of faith to apply. Verse 9, who resists steadfast in faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. Khan. So yeah, man, everyone, all our brothers, likewise, are going through their own afflictions, right? A lot of times we'll get into, that woe is me spirit. Why is this going on? But yeah, our brethren are going through the same exact thing, and Yahweh Shai went through the same things as well, if not greater, actually. Makan, that is hopefully you found this edifying. That's all I have here for you guys today. Shalom, Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim Makakadash, and peace and mercy to the hopeful elect.